service industries, they are using this tool to be able to turbocharge their productivity, to be able to do more in less time and more affordably. And what you need to understand about artificial intelligence is that it's like having a 27-year-old Oxford PhD student by your side, and all it costs you is, $20 per month. That's basically what it is. So imagine if you, and this Oxford 27 PhD student doesn't go on break, doesn't eat, doesn't sleep, doesn't need money for transport. You know what I mean? So that gives you a sense of how wide-ranging this is and how important this revolution is for you and your business. So what a lot of people tend to do, I'm sure all of us with ChatGPT, is just, use it, ask it questions like we're doing Google. But you really want to be thinking about how you can integrate this into your business. Yes, it will reduce to some limited extent some of your headcount. But I don't want you to look at it that way, because the reality of AI is that AI actually creates more work for you, because if you use it correctly, it will grow your business, and then you need to hire more people who understand AI to implement other parts, or to be something we call the human in the loop, to safeguard or to oversee or to fine-tune certain aspects of your business. So I really want you to pay attention to this session, because what is happening now is that if you're able to use this tool really well, you can build a globally competitive business from Nigeria. I mean, you can build, if you're a recruiter, you can recruit all over the world. You don't need to limit yourself to just recruiting for Nigerian companies. And you can do it cheaper, right? If you are a accountant, there's no reason why with AI you cannot do taxes for people all over the world. If you are whatever it is that you are, except you're in construction, in which case you have to be right there using your hands. But if you're doing any kind of knowledge work is now fully globalized and ultra competitive. So it is to your detriment if you don't learn how to use these tools and apply them to your business, so you can deliver work better, faster, cheaper than your competition everywhere else in the world. So I thank God for this session, and I truly hope you get the best value out of it. God bless you.
Awesome. All right, so we just give a round of applause for in absentia anyways. However, because this is recorded, I'm pretty sure that you will get it. There is going to be a quick poll launched to the chat at the moment. I want you to go ahead and interact with the poll and answer to your best understanding. The poll says, when you think about automating your business, what is your primary goal? At the moment, we are over 100 on the call. I would love to see 100 people respond to the poll. We can see freeing up existing team for high value strategic work, taking the lead. We're also seeing drastically slashing headcounts. Oh, okay. Handling 5x to 10x customer volume without hiring anyone new is also taking a lead. I mean, the numbers just keep increasing. Great. Thank you, guys. 44 people have responded. All right, let's have more people respond. My thought definitely is that if you're on the call, you're one way or the other, either building something or parts of a team and strategically involved in the process of building something. All right, just 30 more seconds and then we'll close the poll. And trust me, your response would be very useful in our conversation. So please go ahead and interact with the poll and give us your response. All right, it will be closing in less than 10 seconds because we would like to ensure we keep to time. All right, so we are ending the poll. So as we can see, we have about 63 people who responded to the poll. When you think about automating your business, what is your primary goal? 7 people indicated drastically slashing headcounts and payroll costs. Uh, um, I mean, I don't know what to say to that. I wish I could ask someone who responded to that to let me know why they were thinking of that. Some people said they did not see the poll. Sorry about that. Perhaps it was your device. Um, well, we have 26 people who indicated freeing up my existing team for high value strategic work. So basically, you're saying efficiency. The first person is saying cost, or the first set of people are saying cost. The third set of people are saying handling 5x to 10x customer volume without hiring anyone. So you're also saying efficiency, but also considering growth at the same time. Great. So everyone has a shared valid reason to be here in this session. And these are the things that we're going to be addressing as we go through the session.
Hello,
Um,
ladies and gentlemen.
yeah, sorry,
Thank you.
Mr. A. Okay, great. So we'll go ahead to move straight to the panel conversation. And we have done a very great work. I must say so myself, that we have done a very great work at curating a panel that is as diverse as possible in perspective, right? So on one hand, we have someone who has been at the helm of affairs of uh, um, governing the process with which or being part of the governing processes of how AI solutions are being created and built. And we have another set of people who have actually built products that other businesses have, AI solutions that other businesses are leveraging to do good work. And then we also have somebody who works with businesses to automate their processes, drive digital transformation. And so they will all be speaking from their various perspectives. Um, but as high level as it may be, but has their own perspective to how you should be thinking about integrating AI into your process. And so we'll start with Sebastian. Uh, something interesting about Sebastian was I had the opportunity to listen to Sebastian talk in another community I belong to called Velocity. At the time, the whole conversation around AI was still pretty fresh to me. And it made it very interesting the way he talks about even the complex parts of AI. And so I thought it would be a great addition to this panel. And to give his intro, I'll say Sebastian is an AI solutions and innovations expert with a distinguished track record of shaping the trajectory of artificial intelligence across industries and policy. As a member of the European AI Alliance, a flagship initiative of European Commission, it plays an influential role in one of the most consequential conversations in technology today, contributing to frameworks that balance innovation with accountability and ensure AI development serves the public's interest. A recognized voice in global AI community, Sebastian engages with industry leaders, researchers, and public institutions to promote collaborative, ethics-first approaches to AI governance. He advises organizations on integrating AI solutions that are not only effective, but scalable and responsibly built. Now, driven by his belief that innovation and accountability are not in tension, uh, but mutually reinforcing. Mic check, Sebastian.
Good evening, Enoch. Good evening, everyone. Good to be here. Apologies, it's evening where I am at the moment. Thank you.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, I thought you were in the UK. Where are you joining us from? Sebastian, can you hear
Finland.
me?
Yes, Kuopio,
Okay.
Finland.
Okay. Oh, currently in Finland. Oh, nice. Great, great, great. All right. So we'll move to Ushashie. It's such a tongue twister for me, but um, very fantastic. Salam, we had a conversation. I had opportunity to engage with Shasia right at the start of the organizing of this program. Um, also through Mr. In, and he has been obviously the value with which he will bring it today was also what he brought to the organizing process for this event. And I'm just going to go ahead to just make his introduction. Sasir Ushasir is a product and AI leader with deep experience in building, training, and implementing intelligent systems. He leads product circles vision of helping individuals and organizations move beyond AI awareness into real execution and memorable value. With a track record of training thousands of professionals and delivering production AI systems, Ushasir brings a pragmatic, outcomes-driven approach to AI transformation. He spent 4 years at OPEX Consulting Limited as head of products, leading digital transformation and management consulting engagements, including ISO 26515 and CMMI implementations for financial institutions such as Access Bank, GT Bank, and Fidelity Bank. Good to have you, Shase. Machi, can you hear me?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Enoch. Hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are. And thank you for finding a place to join the
Uh,
call. I think you told me earlier that you are at Continental, yes?
yes, I'm here with my boss.
I
So,
can
for
I
the same
can
reason, he's
imagine.
not able to speak today. But being the smaller boy, I can run and do something.
Thank you for
Yes.
taking the time out. Absolutely appreciate it. Okay,
Yeah, welcome.
without this, all right, without delaying, let's move to our last panelist. Also, my brother, Dr. John Dada, which is a very interesting mix. Is actually a doctor, a trained doctor from the University of Lagos, but actively building, driving AI solutions in Africa. Something very interesting about him is I actually met him at the gym. And this was like I think 2021. And he had told me that he was building Curacao, and I didn't have the slightest idea the value of what he was building at the time. But hey, guess what? AI caught up on us, and now is the company is doing very great work. So I'm just going to introduce him. Dr. John Dada, aka Dr. Flash, is a technology leader, entrepreneur, and Y Combinator alumnus, passionate about building tech that solves real-world problems. He is the co-founder and CTO of Curacell, an AI company backed by Google and Y Combinator, where he built clinical AI systems that save health insurers across Africa over $400 million in losses. He is also the founder of Fumli, a WhatsApp AI platform for restaurants and cloud kitchens, and SpendTrack, an AI finance assistant for individuals and businesses. A trained medical doctor from the University of Lagos, like I mentioned, and an active member of Law World Inc. And is also into martial arts. And actually, that's true. I've also seen him throw a couple of jabs from time to time. Um, my brother Flash, mic check. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you in that.
All
Thanks for
right,
the
great.
invite and the intro. Cool to be here.
Thank, thank you so much. I absolutely appreciate the opportunity to have you all here. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen now so that everyone can see our faces. Yes, yes, yeah. And I'm also just going to go ahead and pin. Great. All right. Thank you all again. This conversation is going to be as swift as possible so that we can cover, and guys, ahead of time, I've given them, you know, questions that we would love to tackle that would be interesting for us to see. I can extract enough knowledge from them, but at the same time, have them create simplified responses in order for us to make sense of what position we should take. And we're going to start as simple as possible. And the goal with this first question is to see how we can paint a full picture of why AI has been built and what vision the builders, and the governments have for AI, to understand what opportunity is meant to bring and why should Nigerian business prioritize AI. I'm going to shoot this question to Sebastian. Would you want to go at it again? Go at the question.
Yes, so thank you so much for having me on this panel, and thank you to all our founders in the room and to my co-panelists. Super excited. So the full picture is this, and I can categorize it into three that most people talk about. Now, out of those three is just one that people don't talk about. So the first layer is the stated vision. What I mean by that is what the builder says in public. So they say it solves intelligence, they use it to solve everything else, disease, climate, just as Dr. Fash mentioned. Then you read his profile of what he solved with. Now, the second layer is the economic vision, what the money is actually chasing. AI was built because the marginal cost of cognitive labor was the last big cost left in the global economy that hadn't been driven down to zero cost. Now, the third one, and I'm going to say that anything I'm saying here is my personal belief, is my own personal opinion, not associated with European AI Alliance, European Commission, or Cambridge University, United Kingdom. The third layer is the geopolitical vision, what government actually sees. The US, the China, the UAE, the UK, France, to be honest, they are not funding AI because they love innovation. They are funding it because whosoever build the most capable model sets the rules of the global economy for the next 50 years. So now, where does Nigeria sit in this picture? I think that's what we, and this is the part nobody is saying out loud at Nigerian business conferences that I've attended. Nigeria is currently a consumer nation in an AI economy, which is designed by producer nation. For example, every prompt a Nigerian business sends to either ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini is a value flowing out of that country. The data attention, the dollar to infrastructure built somewhere else. And we are repeating it in AI. For example, it's also what's happening in the oil sector. We have the natural resources, but we ship it in. So the exact pattern, we've lived through it with oil and we have the raw materials. So if Nigerian businesses should prioritize AI, then there are non-obvious reasons that we should need to look at. So I think I'll stop here for the panelists to also add a few things to it.
I would like to thank you, Sebastian. I would like to hear Ushashi's perspective on this too as well. Especially when it comes to how Nigerian businesses should be, what opportunities we should be pursuing with the reasons why AI is being built.
All right. I guess you called my name, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so thank you very much for this opportunity to speak here. And to my co-panelists, Sebastian and John, it's exciting to talk about AI. And I apologize in advance. You might be hearing some little background noise because I'm a bit in a public place. And this is like the best I could figure out. So the question of what's our position in respect to the emergency, the global emergency called AI. It's coming so strong and it's calling upon everyone to make a decision, individuals and businesses. But today we particularly talk about businesses. And for the Nigerian government, well, bit, the Minister of Communication, Bosun Tijani, has been doing a lot, really. I'll be following him on LinkedIn, and I have a bit close relations to also see what the government is doing, especially he being responsible to do international collaborations. There have been attempts to even build some kind of national models. I've also seen a couple of builders try to build some models that are contextual to our environment. I think somebody built something called Yan GPT. Yan GPT, it's simply a model that is contextual to the Igbo, Hausa, and all that. So it's an LLM that understands our indigenous language, and it's being used in a few businesses for customer care services and a couple of things like that. And of course, businesses could take advantage of it. But here's the reality. When it comes to talk about building AI, either nationally or as a state, it's very expensive. It takes billions and trillions of dollars. And I won't say we don't have that amount of money, but it's going to take a lot of investment. And a thriving community does not just depend on the government. So I think the question really shouldn't be what is the government doing about it. The question is, what are we doing about it as a business? Because it's the private sector that builds a nation. Well, you see that. So what the government needs to simply do is to create an enabling environment, to create enabling policies to allow foreign investors to bring in the cash. The US has an enabling environment. That's why you can see that the top 4 models talk about Anthropic model, OpenAI model, talk about the Facebook model that is out there. And a couple of the models that we are all consuming today are all from America, right? Because there's an enabling environment. There's external investments, there's indigenous investments in trillions of dollars. Recently, Anthropic raised over 900 plus billion dollars, right? At a very high evaluation. A couple of months ago, OpenAI raised about $825 billion. So this is a lot of money being put into this technology. And as Sebastian said, it's determining in the next 50 years who is going to control the entire global economy. And right now, there are 2 nations that are really pushing to locate themselves in that space, and that is the US and China. So China is competing with matching models like DeepSeek and Manos and a couple of models like that. And everybody is trying to lock in this technology in. So the private sector can arise. And if you're here, you have the capabilities, then you could look at that. So we need indigenous model. It's not going to be cheap. It's not going to be easy, but beyond consuming, the best thing is to rise. And if you have an enabling capability, looking into AI, not just consuming, building an infrastructure, either a physical infrastructure that is going to power the models and the compute power, or building something that others are going to plug into, is going to be the greatest profitability in the next many years. It's like being the first in line in the crude oil market, because the crude of the next generation is really AI. So I'm just going to stop there and say the biggest players are those who are going to provide the enabling infrastructure that others are going to plug into, not just the consumers. So if you rise in Nigeria and you build the first enabling infrastructure, either at the infrastructure layer, the platform layer, or the software layer, then you are going to be a big player in the few years to come. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Shashase. Okay, so I'm going to say, just so that we can manage our time, we are going to spend 2 minutes max on each question. Whether we're able to take 1 person or 2 persons will be dependent on how we can answer the questions. I do appreciate that we have talked about the complexity of what is being built, how expensive it is to actually bring AI solutions on the global stage, what the major players are doing, and will I say the level of selfishness that might be involved in why AI solutions are being built. However, we also can't take away from the fact that it is creating a new premise for how um, we experience life, we run businesses, and the kind of solutions that we can innovate around. And I would like us to now go to the center because I know that most of those who are in on our call today are either SME business owners or founders of certain layers. There might be non-technical founders. And so I would like to pitch this question to Dr. Flash, who is familiar with building products solutions for other businesses. Um, when you look at the layer of urgency that African businesses are taking with regards to AI. Why I want to ask you, obviously we know that it's here to stay and it's not going anywhere, but what does that really mean? All right. And if a business decides that it will not consider automation and how to introduce AI into its operations for the next 6 to 12 months, what are they foregoing? And for those who do take it on, what competitive advantage are they actually taking, positioning themselves for?
Amazing. Those are like many questions in one, but I'll do my best to
Should
wrap
I
it.
simplify it, or you understood it?
No, no worries. I'm good. I'm good. I'll
All right.
just I'll flow with what you said. So yeah, you did ask is what is the implication like businesses today? So we've heard the noise. AI has come to stay. Some of us might not believe it. Some of us might believe it. Some people might respond with they might react with fear or react with curiosity. Whatever your reaction might be. I would always say you can just think about it like from history, other things that have happened in the past before AI came to the scenes, other technology advancements that we experienced. If you think about a simple example, when we had typewriters and people who were typing on typewriters by hand, right, versus when digital computing became a thing and you could have word processing being done on a machine, on a digital computer, and Microsoft Word and like all of that phased out the people who were actually using typewriters to get the documents typed. And obviously, if using a typewriter was your main skill, because at the time there were people who were trained to do that, there were people who had businesses based on that model. By the time word processing became a thing, digital word processing, those lines of businesses faded out. So it's either you as a typewriter business, you turn yourself into, a digital word processing business, you evolve with the technology, even though it's still in your line of work, right? And it got to a point where people had to start learning how to use Microsoft Word. Microsoft Word was a requirement for certain job positions. You were trained and you were paid for knowing how to use Microsoft Word, right? But right now, no one cares if you can use Microsoft Word. Like it's like knowing how to write ABC. No one is going to ask you, do you know the letters of the alphabet? No one is going to do that. But there was a point in time when that was a requirement, which is the same thing that is happening right now. Few years before now, coding or generating certain intelligent kind of knowledge work was a hardcore skill requirement that was hard to find. But right now, that's bridge has been collapsed as well. So what it just brings to mind is the fact that technology is going to keep collapsing. The barrier of entry is going to keep collapsing. There are going to be more barriers that are going to keep coming up, and businesses have to evolve. If we do not evolve, we stand the risk of being left behind. What does that mean? People are going to go to other businesses that can get the kind of results they want faster, more efficient. This might be because these businesses are using AI or they have some other secret sauce. But the truth is, technology has a way of making it easier to develop, to render better services. And AI is one of those things. So for businesses that are able to latch on or even redefine themselves, we would definitely tell the difference. There's no gainsaying that. And for those who don't, they'll be left behind at some point in time. It might not be obvious, but it's going to happen. All right. Am I supposed to give examples at this point, or do we wait for that to the next question? Because I know 2 minutes has passed.
Yeah, I think that's the next question that we're actually going to, and I was going to follow up with
All right.
that with another question. I was going to say, when you do consider what needs to be automated, because just like you already hinting at, it's a case of how exactly are you thinking about um, making AI your competitive advantage? So then the question will be, because I believe that for every over the over 100 persons who are on the call, they're thinking, what exactly then in my business should I consider automating? So if you could list some of these tasks that, if they get automated, although if it's part of like their process, if they get automated, there is a chance that it does, get optimized and can be a competitive advantage for them.
Fantastic. Yeah. So we get practical. Let's look at it this way. Every business is different, but there are common themes within most businesses, right? Most of us have customers that we're servicing. We either have a product that we put out there that we're selling. It's one of those two things. And then within that, you have a chain of activities that connect to each other, different points in time. You have workflows that, handle different things. So the easiest way to think about it, or several frameworks to think about it, would be how many of these processes have a digital interface? How many of them happen on smartphones, on computers, online, whatever? That's one a bucket to look at. Secondly, is which of them is a bottleneck, irrespective of where it is happening. Bottlenecks are those processes in your business that, if their throughput is increased, can lead to better outcomes. Or when there's a lot of backlog at that part of your workflow, it creates a problem. For instance, you want to attend to 100 customers, but if you have 100 customers coming into your office at the same time, you will not be able to attend to all of them. It means your office is the bottleneck. So you need to find a way to fix that, right? Or you want to make payments and you want to make 5,000 payments at the same time, but for some reason, that money can't move at once. That's a bottleneck. So it's one, digital processes. Two, this is where you have bottlenecks. And we can keep going on and on. But if we now look at this with practical examples, one simple bottleneck or simple digital process that fits into both categories is customer service. All of us have experienced this. I know how frustrated you feel when you try to contact your telco or your bank and they tell you, please wait on the line, customer service, blah, 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 will attend to you. And you're there listening to that boring music they're playing, right? It's frustrating. You want to get your problem solved right there and then, but you have to wait. Why? Because there are 500,000 more people like you who require that service at that point in time. AI can take care of this. Imagine your own business. Whatever you do, you're probably selling shoes or selling food or selling something. Think of the kind of scale you want to get to. You want to make, let's say, $1 million in 1 year. What does that mean every month? You want to make maybe $100,000 every month. What do you need? How many customers are you going to have to attend to make that kind of revenue? Imagine you had 1,000 people reaching out to your business on a particular day, asking for different products or services. How would you attend to every single one of them, taking into context their unique needs and requirements? Just think about that. The amount of people you'd have to hire to do that manually is unprecedented, or the cost. But AI will do that for you at a ridiculously low cost, cheaper than even hiring one person to do the entire thing. Right? That's just one example. We go into another example, maybe reconciliations or things that have to do with consolidating data. Sometimes you want to find out how many customers have I dealt with in the last 5 years? Which of my customers gives me the highest revenue? Which of this person, which of that? You want to find out questions about the things that are happening in your business. For those of us who are already organized in our businesses, we have tools that have this data in one place and you can generate reports. You can navigate your way around the tool, your CRM, but that is not the case for every business. Some of us might be small business owners. You're doing everything on WhatsApp. You don't have a place that's logging everything. You don't have an organized data management system for your business, right? Having an AI agent that can help you organize all your data in one place where you can ask questions to find out insights that can let you know what you need to do, what you need to act upon, the next decisions you need to make, where your money is going, where your money is left, how all of those things are fitting together is another practical example that I think would fit into every kind of business use case. Let me leave that so I don't take all the time.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I think you were very spot on the analogies that you shared. And that I like the fact that you had also touched on, those who may have an informal system, what they may consider, because there are solutions that exist that can be plugged into the products that we use, whether it's social commerce that we offer or we have a standard structured office tool. There are solutions that exist to automate some of our processes, and it's just ensuring that we're able to be aware of them and take advantage of them. I'm going to move to Ushasia now, and I want to talk about the technical capacity that might be needed, because that's another thing that we need to talk about. You know, we know how it was for us when we were a lot younger. For those who have older parents, understanding what Google was and navigating how to use Google. In fact, I think up until last 3 years, we are still teaching about how to search, Google search. Now we are talking about the need for leveraging AI, not just for search, but also to build out agencies that can do more work for us. So now the conversation around transitioning our business operations into AI-driven businesses. You know, um, while there may be a conversation about the fact that, there's a lot of core engineering, but there's a need for us to talk about what the minimal technical knowledge and skill sets that we need to have, to ensure that we can have an AI-driven business. And I hope we can talk a little more about that.
Yes, thank you once again. So talking about technical capabilities, I'll begin with talking about awareness,
Okay.
right? Before we jump into, okay, what's the technical capability for implementing? What businesses need to do and what business owners need to first do is to become AI literate. And it takes nothing. Hearing about AI, it looks complex. There's a lot of noise. You need to sift the signal out of the noise. And to do that, you need to become AI savvy. And it's very simple. You need to begin from the basics by beginning to understand what is AI, right? And understand the little things about it. We talk about LLMs today. You can try to get to understand what is an LLM, a large language model. What is generative AI? Now, because if you do not understand the basis of artificial intelligence, you won't even know where you have a need. And, there's this FOMO, FOMO, fear of missing out. And everyone is just scared. Oh, there's a lot of AI. They said, if I don't transition into AI, I'm going to miss out. My business will collapse. No, I can assure you that not every business process needs automation. And not every business needs to immediately automate. There are some business that are high-risk business that need to transition, that need to do something AI. Because when you move with that FOMO and you try to implement AI, you may just slap AI on something and there
It's
could be
broken.
a lot of there could be a lot of risk. You could break your entire business process. And people could come to your organization and say, oh, AI is moving. We need to do something. Everyone is hungry, right? And people are seeing AI and the ignorance of the market and business owners as an opportunity to scam people. It's another Yahoo. Oh, you need to do AI. If we don't do AI now, and they just come and just install ChatGPT for you or whatever, and then charge you some outrageous amount and you pay. And at the end of the day, you're wondering what's the value. So as business owner, you should first know what AI is and what is automation. It's very simple to know, right? Maybe through Enoch, you can get to know. We have a very simple platform, and you can just start by even learning very free. Anybody can learn about AI. You can just learn what is AI and the basics. You can easily be informed. It's very simple. And if you get that knowledge, then you will know what you need, and then you can now begin to cry out for help that, okay, we need to implement this. Now, I'm talking about capabilities. I can also assure you that currently in the country, we do not have so many AI engineers. So if you're going to hire somebody, you need to get credible people, because all this in AI did not start too long, right? It's not so much more than 4 years popularly. Yeah, there are people that have been into AI for 10 years. People from MIT and high impact research centers have been researching about AI, machine learning, and all that. But the epidemic of AI began in 2022 when ChatGPT was released. And from that time, from towards the end of 2022, and especially from 2024, everybody became an AI expert. So it's not like it's a field that has lived for 50 years and a lot of people have developed expertise in it. So you need to be careful about who is implementing something for you, because there's the legal aspect, there's the compliance aspect, there's the security aspect, and there's a lot that is involved. And there are some things that are just simple. In fact, there are tools that can automate your workflows. There's a difference between workflow and agentic AI, agentic implementer. Simple workflow automation that I can use simple workflows to do. You don't need complex, all the Python and all that. Whereas there are some automation that needs strong technical implementation that involve Python and all the vector databases and all that. But I'm just going to close this by saying, for each person, you need to understand the data points in your business. There is no AI without data. And that is where we miss out in Nigeria. We are not serious about data. Most businesses don't care about it. You lose your data every day. Whatever business you are doing, you need to know which data is important. How many customers are coming to my business every day? How many are buying? What is their buying habit? Most times we think these things don't matter. I can tell you, I've been in product for years. They matter a lot. One single data point that you get to understand can change your business completely. It can change your revenue. It can change your business experience. Just knowing that, oh, customers buy this more, and this is the frequency by which they are buying, I should invest more in this product, can really change your revenue. Knowing customer habits and basic things. And it's so simple, right, that we can begin. And finally, I'm going to say that there are points of interactions with customer. Look at the boring parts of your business. Look at the things that, for instance, I'll just give you a popular use of AI today, chatbots. I have chatbots on almost every application and all my websites. Before, we built AI pairs, and then we have to deal with a lot of queries and all that. So I just set up a simple chatbot that understands everything about my product. That is data. I provided with information about all the kind of queries, what we call frequently asked questions. There are frequently asked questions for every business. That is a beginning point. You can create a chatbot. If you have 1,000 customers, instead of the 1,000 customers calling you, John made an instance about the way we call MTN, we call someone. It's very annoying. You understand? But if I have a question and I simply go there and there is an AI agent that can respond to all my questions. Now, today, immediately we implemented our chatbot, people hardly call us or write us for anything, because whatever query you have, the chatbot is going to respond to you, give you all the answers, and provide you the next steps you need to take to do anything. And when it does not have information about a strange question, it simply hands over to one of our agents, and that's simple. I'm at Accelerate Africa right now, and we are looking at founders that are looking for funding. And I was talking with a founder, and I tried to, have a conversation with her product. And the first thing I saw was an AI agent, an agent on the landing page. And what came to my mind immediately, instead of opening several pages to try to understand this product,
You
why don't
just
I
spoke
just
with
speak
the
to the agent?
agents.
Then I spoke to the agent and I started waiting. So I asked her, why is he not responding? She said it's a human being that is behind that. One of her team will soon respond. And I said, no, I'm expecting an AI to respond to me and answer basic questions. Then if there's a question the AI cannot answer, then she'll hand over. And she was like, oh, we're going to do that because it's very cheap. It's simple. There's even free model, Gemini 2.5 Flash, at least can do some basic responses, right? So
All right.
that's what, so I'm just going to pause there and say, you can start by understanding AI, and it's going to help you to know who should build what and what you need to build.
All right. You can tell that Ushase is very passionate about this conversation. And for anyone, you did mention about you gaining knowledge. AI peers, you can definitely check the solution has been built by him and his team for gathering AI knowledge. I would also want to say that after this final session is done, um, we are doing a demo. And in the demo, we're addressing two pillars of businesses. That's optimizing business operation with AI, and we're going to do a full demo using Claude on how we can improve efficiency with AI, and then also demonstration of how we can also drive business growth with AI. And so that you can see, just wait till the panel session is done, and then you have that happen afterwards. I'm going to move to We have just about 10, 15 minutes. Okay, I also want to say there is a Q&A button. You can go ahead and start dropping your questions. There is a Q&A button. You can use it if you have any questions that are unique to yourself that you want to ask. Please go ahead and drop your questions. After 3 more questions that I would ask, we're going to start taking other questions from everyone else in the as participants. Okay, so I'm going to ask a question around culture and balancing integrating AI. Something interesting, and I'm going to do this one for Sebastian because I know you're quite familiar with policy and everything around the behavior of businesses with AI. When we saw the poll that we did, certain businesses had mentioned, wanting to cut costs or keep the cost low by not hiring more people as they try to drive growth. Even if the business actually said, cutting down the number of staff. I want you to speak to what's um, you know, the experience, because at the end of the day, bringing on new technology, as every form of digital transformation happens in every business, right? It changes things in businesses, even for the business owner and then the teams that they work with, right? What should businesses be aware of when it comes to trying to integrate AI solutions into the business, and what impact does it have on culture? And how also can AI be leveraged to standardize, some of these cultural practices or processes that businesses want to adopt to as they grow their business?
You hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so trying to
Yeah,
balance,
I don't know, guy.
The way we
trying
muted
to,
him. Yes.
okay. When we look at trying to balance business with culture, it's a very important thing to do, more especially when you are scaling out broad. But I think there is a question that is buried inside
Okay.
that is very hard to that people hardly ask. So, for example, when one person's business scales to handle 10 times volume, the founder will always say that they want to maintain quality and culture. Have you heard that?
Hmm.
Okay. But the uncomfortable truth here is that in a one-man business, the quality is the founder
Right.
and the culture is the founder's mood.
It's the founder's mood. I like that
Is the
one.
founder's mood. Because I mean, I've sat in different boards of businesses across the globe. So when we say we scale without either losing our culture or losing quality, what we are really asking is, how do I clone the best version of myself?
Mm,
Then install it in that system and we let it run without me. Why
right.
still feeling like the business is mine? So I think the first step would be um, in practice is to capture you as the founder. You record yourself doing the work, you record the decisions, you draft the sections. It could take as much time as possible. Then the second one was to be to extract you. So you review the footage and extract the patterns, how you open a client's call, the 4 questions or the 5 questions that you ask, then you encode it. When you are done encoding it, you audit it. When you are done auditing it, then I think the fifth one is to scale it. So here is what I want every founder in this call to take from this, because the founder who is going to scale, or the one-man business who is going to scale 10 times volume with AI, as regards to culture, are not the ones with the best tool. They are the ones who made 3 uncomfortable choices that most solo founders refuse to make. They choose to become the architect instead of the practitioner, even when they love the practice itself. Again, they choose to externalize their judgment into the system, even when it felt like losing what made them special. And they choose to let AI carry their identity to thousands of customers, even when their own ego, wanted to be at the face of every interaction. That was something I posted leading to this thing when I said most of the founders, the challenge I find in most of the founders is that they want everything to pass through them.
Mm.
They want everything to pass through them. So, and the part nobody will tell you is that the version of your business that exists and scale 10 times will not feel like the business you started. You look at it and not entirely recognize yourself inside that. So some founders find that liberating, but some founders find it grief. But in any case, both are valid. But you have to know which one you should be before you start, because once you scaled, going back is harder than going forward.
Mm. Very interesting. That's a very interesting response. Thank you so much for it. So I like the way so basically what you are saying is there is a very important part of policing your internal process, your culture at the moment. You have to be very certain about what you are scaling because um you, especially from the perspective of a one-man business, you are at every point in time, your business is a reflection of yourself. So even as you continue to grow, if you do not police what your process is, then you're just going to scale, the negative quality and culture that you currently have internally. We're not going to talk about I think a little controversial conversation. I'm going to move this one to Flash. Um, and it is the part of, AI replacing jobs. And when we say jobs, we know that it's not just the talents that are being replaced by AI. It is whole industries. Um, Creative industry, particularly, for example, AI solutions are upending the entire models that they may have built around their business. And part of the conversations or rather inquiries by our registrants, have been those who are currently driving businesses that are being um, that are being challenged. That's the right word I'm trying to use. Are being challenged by AI. What is the best way for one to position with this disruption? And then particularly, if there are alternative or income streams or new business opportunities that AI enables for them, how best can they take advantage of them? So if you have examples of businesses, I can say in the creative space, I can say in marketing, every other type of skill sets that typically has been that AI has been trying to optimize. How would you consider those who have either built careers or businesses around them to position in this space? Again, please, guys, you can go on and send in your questions. That question was for Dr. Flash.
All right, good stuff. So yeah, it's disrupted a lot of industries, a lot of roles, a lot of jobs. Um, and now you're even talking not just from a job standpoint, from a business standpoint now.
Mhm.
Um, and the first thing I would like to throw out there is that we would always have a need for human judgment, human taste, human there's this. So let me go back a little bit, right? Now, for instance, I'm a software engineer. Like practically, if you talk about my hardcore skill, I'm a software engineer. And which of the industries that have been damaged the most by generative AI? It is
Your
coding,
industry.
right?
Yes.
We are the ones taking the biggest hit ever. And there's an existential crisis that you could feel as the software engineer, as the programmer who has been honing his craft for a long amount of time, learning all the syntaxes, learning how to write code, learning how to architect things properly, and all that stuff. You then get to a point where, okay, I can see this thing can actually generate lots of code. You now dive into the detail and you're like, okay, but wait, so this code actually looks like it can be better. And okay, this code looks good, but in real life, will this thing work? Okay, this thing looks like it's going to work, but does it actually solve this person's problem? Okay, this thing solves this person's problem, but is this the best way it can be?
Mm.
So, what I'm driving at is the fact that there is always a layer of human interference that comes in every AI dominated space. Because the truth is, what we call AI today is not really intelligent, right? It is an average prediction machine. So if I were to bore you out with some net details, the large language models, why they are called language models, is because they are a combination of texts which tries to, with algorithms that try to predict the next line of text that should appear based on the question you ask and the amount of text it has seen. So what it is doing is basically looking at all the text in the world from the internet that it is aware of and finding the closest average to what you ask it, which is how it works. Now, think about the fact that everything AI gives you is actually the average of everything. It's actually an average out. But the truth is, as humans, our brains or our lives tend towards things that are more than average. We want exceptional. So the reason I would say that this human judgment comes into place because AI output by itself is going to be flat out average. Then we now put our judgment layer and be like, okay, yeah, this thing makes sense, but it can be better, and it can be better in this way, and it can be better in this way. So depending on your field, there would always be that level of the service you're rendering. That even though it looks like AI is eating the core grunt work, it's taking care of all the messy parts, there's always that quality or that judgment or that taste variable that a machine cannot replicate, which takes only the experience that you have garnered over the years, which you have fine-tuned from your experience, from your practice in that industry, to fine-tune with the raw machine output and deliver the best service. Right? And that's where we differentiate AI slop from well thought outputs. Right? And I would say this applies in many industries. So if you're bothered about AI replacing you, just think about it from this standpoint. AI can generate the thing, but I'm the human that can actually give it the best outputs in terms of controlling the quality and the taste. And for other businesses, you can start knowing this. You can think about business models that require lots of outputs, output-driven businesses. For instance, content. AI can help you generate lots of content, which you can then fine-tune. If you are going to generate this content by yourself from the scratch, it might have taken you maybe a week or two, but you can have a model generate it for you in a few hours, and you just fine-tune it in a few more hours, and you're good to go. This cuts across text, media, videos, images, design, all of that kind of stuff. So you can decide you want to start helping people create flyers on the fly, and add workflows that make it automated for them. So maybe you have an organization that has lots of members. They want to do customized flyers for their members. You can help them set up a workflow that knows each member's date of birth, their history, something to make the flyer, more personalized. And it generates a personalized flyer for each member on their birthday and send it to them, right? I don't know if anyone is going to pay for that, but I just said that without even thinking too hard, right? Based on the fact that we put in one or two things together from what you know about what these machines can do and what businesses require, or what your business requires, or what people require. So I don't have any $1 billion idea that I can say right now, but I would say the framework is understand the capabilities, like like Ushara mentioned earlier, understand what these things can do, and understand what is needed, what problems are there to be solved, where can I pipe these capabilities of mass content generation to solve problems at scale. And who knows, you might have something that can be printing you money while you sleep with a few reviews at night. You're just checking what it's doing. I'll leave it at that.
Awesome, awesome, Dr. Flash. And I also want to just reinforce and say the idea is that repetitive activities, or the gap that you would have with having to spend so much time understanding tools, typically AI is trying to remove that process. And everything there now is now based on your own nuanced and unique expression with those tools. Leaning more into creativity, leaning more into your own intelligence, leaning more to your perspective, leaning more into your own understanding and how you want to communicate and the value that you're offering. So I think it is great, and it's high time that we also start leaning away from the fear of replacement, but thinking more about the point position of opportunities. So I'm going to just I think ask this last question. We have just 2 more minutes, but I think we'll lean into whatever we can answer with it. And this is on the side of those who are building, um, who have businesses in sensitive industries, the healthcare space, financial space. And I think like never before, there is a continuous conversation around data privacy. Some of us who are using social media platforms are also very selective about which platform we are on, particularly for this reason. And then also there's this conversation around how much we can do with AI. So the conversation now is, can we trust AI with our customer data? What about, privacy regulations, or what are the risks that are open for, automating some of these business processes? And is there a way for us to, check and then safeguard whatever system that we put in place? I want to push this to Sebastian.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
So I think the honest answer is you should not trust any AI tool with sensitive customer data by default, but you should configure each one carefully on a case-by-case basis until that AI system earns that trust through some of the specific design and choices that you give to it. So I'll list 4 real risks,
Okay.
and I'll name them honestly. The
Okay.
first one is data leakage to your training sets. So when you send customers' data to a consumer grade AI tool, it may be used to improve the model. Many people don't know that most of their data on LinkedIn are being
Usually, I do
used
11.
to train other AI
Anything for
system. So you have to be careful to understand that your client's confidential information becomes part of a system. Let me quickly name a case that is ongoing in European court as we speak. A customer in Caribbean used one of the AI tools, and all his information, his health record and everything appeared on that AI tool. And now he knows that he only used it in another tool in North America. You can see too far jurisdiction. So we have to be careful because there is always a data leakage. The case is ongoing, and he knows the system that he used and is in North America, but he is based in the Caribbean. Now, there is another cross-border data flow because most major LLM run on US or EU server. And this week, Monday of this week, I was in African Technology Conference where I asked Flutterwave, the head of operation, about this question, and the president of Sierra Leone was there. Now, the moment you send a Nigerian customer data to such platform or OpenAI, that data has crossed a border. And NDA, Nigerian Data Protection Act 2023, has views on that, but the views are, in my own view, are vague, or will I just say they are still forming and needs to be enforced. Now, the third one is the accidental exposure through prompt logs. I'm not going to dwell more on that because many AI tool log every prompt for debugging. And if your staff or a staff member paste a client's medical history or bank statement into that chat, that history is now living in that log, and you can't control it, unfortunately. That's why DeepSeek is trying. There's a case in court now between DeepSeek and OpenAI. And, you use that inferential learning to build your own model. DeepSeek is saying, no, we built it from the scratch and all that. We can also talk about model hallucination. Now, but let me end by giving the 5 safeguards that can make that usable with sensitive data. Use API tier, not consumer tier. Then try to tokenize or anonymize before sending. Then the third one is choose your data residency. So for genuine sensitive and vertical peaks. You may want to look at where the data residency and know if they have a strong policy that guides the use of that. Then you may want to look at it explicit consent and try to document it. The NDPA requires that is part of their policy. Then you may want to audit that system quarterly, because every 90 days, review which AI tools have access to what data, who on your team can query that, and what is being stored in there. Because most leaks happen when assets expanded silently and an intent got added. So let me stop here.
Thank you very much, Sebastian. So you're basically saying it is important for us to be careful what part of the data is shared on the LLMs. I heard you say something about anonymize. So basically saying if certain data is sensitive, you can perhaps switch the detail of how you present it to without losing the technical value of what you're sharing with the data, right? And
Yep.
this is for, like I said, the sensitive businesses, like in the healthcare space, financial space, those who are data that you do not want the LLMs to train their own models on, because they will get access to the data. I think we have checked the queue. Okay, great. Someone finally asked the question, because I was just going to move forward real quick now. All right, so a question here says, what foundational mental models do non-technical business owners need before they can effectively manage an AI AI team? Okay, so this person is talking about managing a team. So I think he's thinking of the perspective of, oh, I want to hire somebody who can implement AI powered solutions for me. However, I'm thinking of what basic knowledge do I need to have in order for me to be able to manage such a team? I would like to push this to Ushase. If you can speak in under a minute to it.
All right, thank you very much. So I'll just say something that covers a lot of things that we've discussed. Domain knowledge. Your greatest moat as a business owner is domain knowledge. Whatever you are doing, if you are successful in it, the reason why you're successful is because you have domain knowledge. You're an expert in that thing. And a typical AI team must involve at least one domain personnel. If you want to implement AI in healthcare, you need somebody that is an expert in healthcare. If you want to implement AI in finance, you need a finance expert. So if you're hiring a team, your leadership comes by domain knowledge. You understand your business. The better you explain it, the more context you bring into it, the better whatever model or autonomous system is going to be set up. But when it comes to technical, leadership, if you are not technical person, if you're not a technical person, you don't have expertise in implementing high architectural AI systems, then you shouldn't be thinking about how you are going to lead the do the technical leadership. You need to hire someone who has the capability to lead the technical aspect, and you also need to be on the team as a domain expert, providing the information that is needed, because that is the core aspect. That is what AI sits on. AI is simply an assistant, and the only thing it's doing is amplifying your domain capability. AI cannot be helpful to someone who does not have domain knowledge in any aspect. That's why someone who does not have experience in coding, even though AI tools are very good in software engineering, they can't code with it. They will code flop. What we code will be nice, but it will not be useful. So it amplifies. It amplifies what you already know and what you can do. So that's where your leadership comes. Thank you.
Thank you. So basically, domain knowledge allows you to know if the solution, you can be aware of what's being built. If the output does not match what you are expecting, you can easily flag it. However, when it comes to leading the technical processes, if whatever you're trying to build is really technical, you want to have somebody who has domain knowledge and can sit on your team to then lead the team. That's the suggestion that was made. A second question is, as you grow as a business owner in in a competitive fashion industry, so that's a non-technical space. Would you suggest placing more investment into AI or into human resources? I think it would be very interesting to know what context, but I don't know who would want to take this question. Let me shoot it to Ushasi again. So the question again is, as a growing business in the competitive fashion industry, would you suggest placing more investments into AI or into human resources?
Okay, so we are talking about a non-technical business, right? Like fashion
Yes.
industry.
Yes.
So it's about your vision, right? First, your vision. We spoke about culture, right? I think Sebastian spoke about putting the culture of a business is the
A
personality
reflection of
of
yourself.
the business owner, the perception of a business owner, right? So that's very important. And then your target audience. You need to know who your target audience are and where they reside and how you plan reaching out to them. So there's a lot of inventions. So AI is simply a new invention and it's an enabler. Somebody asked a question about transitioning. Not every business needs to transition into AI. If you're a technical business, let's say I'm a software business, I could be talking about transitioning into AI. If I'm not a software business, then I'll be talking about how can I use AI to either cut down costs or to improve my processes. Two major ways we are using AI: to improve processes, to cut down costs. I'll give an instance about the fashion business. You might have had a static website, or you have an e-commerce site where people are coming to purchase your fashion, clothing, or whatsoever. Now, how are people in the fashion industry using AI today? You go to the website, you want to buy a dress or a cloth. There's a major problem of getting what is fitting for you. Today, when you go to these systems today, you can simply upload your photo, and that photo will be changed into a 3D, dimensional video kind of image. And then you can begin to select clothes, and those clothes will come onto your body. So now you can also supply your height and your body mass, and the image that is transitioned into a three-dimensional, digital person, digital representative
Avatar.
of your person. Yes, we have your height, measurement, everything. So you know that the shoe you are picking to try on is your size. The clothes you are picking to try on, unless I want to dress like this and I want to check, will this fit me? Is this fitting to me? So I can try multiple things. In fact, you can tell the AI to automatically try different dresses for you. You can also, in a simple sentence, say, I'm going for this party, and this is the nature of the party. So find a clothing for me that fits this. These are e-commerce, clothing e-commerce are applying AI. And I'm not speaking something that is abstract. It's something that is already happening. It's real. So you could have this as an addition to your website or your application where people try out your clothing, see how it fits them, and if it is something they want to buy. You can use AI to understand your data and people's buying habits. I'm going to permit me to give one instance of how AI is very, very important when it comes to data. There was a team at Amazon, majorly, at Amazon, called the CART team, CART. That team is in charge of, anything from the cart to payment. Now, this team had an intern that they employed, and the job of the intern was just to sit down and watch data and the buying habits of clients. And this intern discovered that when users come to Amazon website, they pick, for instance, a laptop. It takes them 1 hour to choose the laptop they want to buy. Then it takes them another 30 minutes to look for a bag that fits that laptop. Another 15 minutes to look for a mouse that goes with that laptop. So the intern began to say, this is the trend of all buyers. And then he came up with an idea. Why don't we understand the buying habits of our clients, such that once you come and you purchase a laptop, we automatically suggest to you a bag that can go with it, a mouse that is fitting for that laptop, and we just tell you that other buyers that bought this laptop also bought a bag like this. Now, today, what I just said, if you go on e-commerce, every e-commerce is doing it. But the legacy and the patency of that idea came from Amazon by an intern. So Amazon implemented this and they refused. The leaders did not want to implement it. They took it to the board rejected it because anything that has to do with a change in that cart flow is very dangerous. Now, what did the team do? They did what they called A/B implementation. They selected a place in San Francisco, just one location, and they deployed it for just 24 hours. And they saw that the revenue doubled by like 80%. And they came back to the board meeting and say, you are losing $5 million every week for refusing to implement this. That is data. And immediately the manager said, who refused that this should not be implemented? And that is how that team was awarded, the intern was awarded, and that changed the revenue perspective of an entire company. That's how important data is. So you can use AI to understand your data. You can use AI as an algorithm to suggest and recommend things on your website to people that they don't even know that they need. So this is how non-technical businesses can leverage AI today to maximize income and to optimize their processes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rishase. Absolutely appreciate the extensive conversation. I think there are no more questions that have been asked from the audience. I'll just take a final round question perspective from Flash and then Sebastian. From your perspective, you can just share one thing that you think that the audience should be considering that we may not have talked about, as far as AI is concerned, particularly perhaps long-term conversations, right? Or anything that you may be privy to that would be relevant for us. We can start with Dr. Flash.
Stuff that the audience should be considering in their businesses, right? Or generally speaking.
Businesses or generally speaking is fine. At the end of the day,
Okay.
we are businesses.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'll just say that we can yeah, I'm just leave it at that. We need to be more proactive towards identifying places where we can multiply exponentially our outcomes and find, find the best tools that can make this happen. So instead of logging the nail on the head too many times, it's just being that, okay, mentally, you have this mindset, this engine running on the back of your mind in your day to day that makes you observant. Even though it's not a problem yet, it's not yet a desire to increase this thing, but just being observant and curious about what you do on a day to day and placing this into buckets, it's like a mental model that just helps you observe and pay attention because within some of the things that you currently do might be a lever that when adjusted, increased, automated, or optimized with whether it is sometimes it doesn't even need to be AI, to be honest. Sometimes it's just a typical plug and play tool that helps you make something more efficient. But identifying those things that would change the trajectory of a business dramatically. It might not always be due to catastrophe. It might just be from you observing the calm state on a day to day, taking note of what is happening and thinking about what can be done differently at each point in time.
Mhm. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sebastian. Let's have yours.
Yeah, in addition to what we've said today, I think one thing I want everyone to note is the difference between AI and automation. Because as at early 1990, we were talking about automation, AI wasn't there. And then automation was the abstraction of human labor. Now we are in the age of AI. We are still talking about automation. So there is a thin line there. But AI now is the abstraction of the human level, which is the automation process and the abstraction of intelligence. So whatever thing you do, for you to know if it's AI automation, there must be human level abstracted and also intelligence. And when you are doing that, you should have three things at the back of your mind. And part of it touches with the final thought by Dr. Fash. One is anything you want to automate, make sure that it must touch revenue. Make sure that it must touch revenue within that your business. So be it in fashion industry or not, touch revenue. Then the costs must be minimal. I don't want to, but for the fashion industry, the cost must be minimal. If it costs more, then it's not a gateway, it's a commitment. Then you must be able to, that solution should be something you should build by at least a non-technical founder. And the fifth one is that it must teach you something about your own business that you didn't know. Thank you.
Very, very, very sound notes. We're going to try and make the recording of these sessions available to everyone. I also want to believe that the panelists would not mind me saying that members of the attendees can also set you up on social media and reach out to you. And should in case anyone does have any further questions, because I do think that we may have struck a few nerves about conversations that people might not have been thinking about. But this has been an absolutely valuable session, and we absolutely appreciate you for your time. Thank you so much for showing up and showing out and also doing the hard work. That's why we can also reach out to you. We absolutely appreciate it. Everyone, please, let's appreciate our panelists. Great. Thank you, Sebastian. Thank you, Dr. Flash. Thank you, Shase.
Very much.
We'll be in touch.
Everyone. Sure. Bye.
It was a pleasure.
Great. That was a very rich session. Absolutely very rich session. One of the things that I can say categorically, again, this session was organized by Covenant Capital of the Covenant Nation. And our goal really is to keep creating intervention programs, designing programs rather that elevate poverty, and also empower both the congregation and the public. And so one thing for sure is that this would not be a one-time event, but also birth other values that we would create together. And so for us to then move to the next part of this conversation, I do know that some of you have questions, right? And I think it would be more useful to have the questions come in when you're seeing a live demonstration of what is possible, so that your questions can then be excuse me, I'm trying to get my slide up, so that your questions can now be a lot more direct, and you can then ask for use cases where it's pertaining to you. Okay, so we just finished with our panelists. Now, again, also, in case you are interested in engaging already curated content, because there's one of the things about gathering data information, about new knowledge, is sometimes too much information gets overwhelming. So, Shase Tembe has built a platform where curated content is available. You can always go ahead and consume the information there. Another thing also, like I said, this program was designed with Learn to Earn. And so if you're interested in, an engineering journey that is centered on AI, so you don't want to be the software engineer who is being disrupted. You want to be the more modern software engineer whose career is probably protected. Learn to Earn. Just Google search Learn to Earn. Applying for the institution is absolutely free. They are taking in thousands of people. I repeat, their plan is to take tens of thousands, train tens of thousands of engineers. And so as many people who are interested can definitely go on the platform and engage the platform. It's a very simple application process. You play a game, you qualify in the game, you come into the boot camp for 1 month, where they drill you and see if you're competent for the role. And then if you do pass that, you then get absorbed into the program. And in the program, you are being paid to learn. So that's learn to earn. So let's move straight to the AI use case demo. And the AI use case demo is being facilitated by one of us. And by one of us, I do mean, one of the young bright minds that we have at Covenant Capital. And his name is Kamzi Okorafor. And Kamzi is an AI strategist, builder, and also an educator, passionate about helping everyday people understand and leverage AI to create real world impact. He has also positioned himself as an intersection of, technology, creativity, and problem solving, which is one of the things that we have said about what exactly AI is supposed to help you leverage, and building AI agents, automation systems, and digital solutions that simplify complex processes for individuals and businesses. He's also the founder of Quenu AI, and he focuses on designing practical AI systems that people can use to improve productivity, and decision making. All right. So, mic check, Kamzi. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Great, great, great. I can hear you. Good to have you,
Okay.
Kamzi. And so what he will be doing is doing a live demonstration on two core pillars of business. Number one, operations, because we've talked a lot about what your process is, your culture, and what's the how exactly you are to optimize your process. Because obviously our workflow and our processes are how our business operates, right? So how to leverage AI, agentic AI to drive operational efficiency. He will do a demonstration for that, and then also do a demonstration for business growth. All right. And then we will be co-pilots in this demonstration. So my goal at the end of the day is to try and keep him centered, because these engineers, they always get really excited about showing you how, the great solution works, so just to keep him centered and ensure that we are able to hit the nail that is needed. And then if you have questions, please use the Q&A part of the tool, and then I would always make reference to it as you go on. So if you have any questions as it does anything, you can drop it in the Q&A part. If it's something I can stop in one, I would interject, and then I would ask the question, and then we'll move forward. And so we're going to try and we're actually far past in time. So we're going to try and spend the next, I know I told you, Kamsi, that we have 20 minutes per pillar, but it looks like we were going to only have about 15 minutes per pillar. So, but let's see how well we're able to cover within the time. The ball is over to you. Have you made a request to share screen?
Let me do that now.
All right, great.
Are we clear?
Yes, I can see your screen.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Happy to be here. So before I get started, I just want to get to a deep overview of people are here. Has everyone here ever used ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini? Just want to see what proficiency level we're at right now. Has anyone here ever used that? Are you people familiar with Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, and all that? Okay. All right. Let me move on. All right. So I'm trying to explain. Sorry, you're muted.
We're getting responses in the chat. Yes, yes, I am. Yes,
Oh, okay,
yes,
okay. I can't see the
yeah,
response because I'm sharing my
yeah.
screen. Sorry.
Okay, great. So there are responses in the chat that yes, people are familiar with ChatGPT. Yes, they are. And you can also put in the chat what businesses you operate in. Somebody with an interesting business would most likely get a chance for us to use their use case on the side of business growth. So you can share us what business you run, and perhaps something interesting about your business. All right, continue, Ramsey.
All right. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to try to move you from this left section, which is an AI chat, to using AI agents, right? So if you have used Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini before, you know that you most likely have to type what you want to do. It gives you a response. You have to copy it, take it to the tool you want to use, paste it, and then use it. So it's like a reactive state where you are going to the AI tool and then you're going out and you're what we want to do now is we want to transform that. We want to move from this, you ask, AI replies, and then you do the work, to moving to an agentic system where you ask a question or you give an instruction and then your AI carries out the task. And then you're told, okay, this is what we've done, this is the outcome of what we have done. Right. So that's what we're trying to do. Now, before we go ahead, I would like to show you how an AI agent system works. What is going on in the background. Now, this is what we call an agent loop. All right. So whenever you ask a question to an AI agent, right, the first thing it does is it observes, which is gathering information from the question you've asked, checking out the internet, the context you have given it, the data is attached to, right? And then once it has gathered that information, it thinks about what to do next, right? What's the plan? What's the step-by-step flow that needs to be carried out? What tools do I need to use to carry out this task that I've been given? And then it acts by using those tools, right? Taking action, creating output. And then once it's done with that output, it evaluates his output. It checks the result of his output. Okay, is this in correlation to what I was told I need to do? If it is, okay, let's go ahead. If it's not, we observe again, right? We gather information, and then it's just an entire loop until the entire work is done, right? And then there are different things that help AI agents carry out these tasks, right? There is the memory, right? And then from the panel session, wonderful panel session, by the way, we were told that we need to have domain knowledge. We need to have data to make sure our AI agent is not, or AI is not going off board, right? So memory is very important when it comes to AI agents. Memory, context, data, right? And then there are tools, the technical term, call it in the AI world as MCPs, where we can just call them tools, right? These are what give agents the ability to do the work they are supposed to do, right? And then there are skills, which I'll explain in a moment, and then the instruction, which is like your prompt, your rules, your tone, and all that. Now, what is a skill? A skill is simply SOP for AI. And SOP is a standard operating procedure, right? So before a skill was invented, what you do before when you're interacting with AI is, I want a proposal written, for example. You would have to explain what's your, what type of proposal, how it's formatted, right? The tone, what the document structure is, what is first, what's the output. There's different things you need to explain for your AI to get it right. There's a lot of back and forth, right? But with a skill, right, it's like having a specialized staff already trained on what your procedures are, right? So the staff already knows, if I'm being told to prepare a proposal, my proposal must be like this. My proposal must have this tone of voice. My proposal must carry out this context, must have this context, and then it just does it, right? So the difference between without skill and the skill is, without the skill, you're typing all that, right? All the information. And then with the skill, you're just having like a slash command, right? We saves token, we saves you cost. And right, so now let's get to it. We'll open my Claude. Right, so what we're looking at right here is my personal Claude project. Now, Claude project is the first form of what an AI agent looks like that everybody should be interacting with. Right, so you're technical or you're not technical. The Claude project is like a sample of what an AI agent is. Now, I'll explain why that is. Now, a project, I think the mind frame or the mindset we should have at looking at projects is, look at the Claude project like an AI company, right? We look at it that this project is all about CAMSI, right? You're helping CAMSI create new projects, brainstorm ideas, and create content. This is the function of this project. This is the function of this company, right? That's an AI workforce company. That's how you look at Claude project. Now we have files, this file section. What we technically put in this file section is everything there is to know. What are the documents that are needed, right? What are the things that, so typically in a work environment, would have like procedures, right? How the company behaves, the mission, the vision of the entire company, right? But for now, why
Product
I have here,
knowledge, processes,
yes,
services,
processes, all
everything
that,
about
what
the
we offer,
business.
everything about the business, right? So what I have here, because it's working for me, right? What I have here is my context, everything there is to know about me. Well, not everything, but things that it needs to know about me, right? I included my CV, right? I included my company logo. I included data about my company, what we do, how we do it, right? Who we service, and all that. I also included a sample of what my proposal looks like, right? So you can add as carefully created documents as possible, right? Now, what we have in the instruction here, this instruction section, is essentially company policy, right? So in a company, there are ways you should behave, there are ways you should respond, right? There's hierarchy, who talks to who responds to what, right? And this instruction part essentially carries out, or what is supposed to be here are policies. Was when you're working for me, this is the person you're working for, right? When you're working for this person, this is what that this person is, this is what this person likes, this is what the person wants you to behave in line with, right? And then in this chat session, we should treat every chat session like a
So
staff.
Kamsi, let me just talk a little bit to the instructions so that they can also understand. So if, give you an example as a consultant, if you wanted to build your own projects, if you open up a project space and you were trying to just use the project space for consultation, instructions you will give here is telling the platform how to think. What type of consultation do you prefer, right? How do you want it to write? What framework do you use for your consultation? What is the language choice that you like to approach with? What are the priority things? Do you always like every one of the activity you do with it to come out with a document, specific instructions that you know that it needs to follow? You put it there so that you're treating it like just like you said, your policy, how this business operates. So you put that in instructions. All right.
All right, so like I said before, we treat every chat session, right, like a staff, an employed staff. Now, with each session, right, we get to do tasks. Now, let me start with a simple demo of how an AI chat works. I think most of you know it. So right here, we have a sales sheet. This is a sample sales sheet. Now, I think Mr. Use spoke about how to um, drive decision using AI, and that's what we're demonstrating today. How does AI affect the decision made in the company? Now, let's assume I'm running a jewelry business. This is a sales sheet of, I think, 6 months or 3 months, right? These are different buyers. What we have here are different buyers, where they are from and all that. I'm going to take this link. I'm going to my AI chat session. Now, what I'm going to show you now is a framework I use for prompting. So if you are an advanced prompt engineer, you're just starting with working with AI tool, this prompt framework works for everybody. And I know it sounds like rice and looks like rice. I'm not going to say rice was not the inspiration, but this is what it is. This is what it is, rice. Right? So what is rice? Now, R stands for role. Now, for our role, what we are going to put here is who do we want our AI to become, right? What line should AI be thinking in? Remember, I said we're going to treat every chat session like a specialized staff, right? And that's where it comes in. So I can say for the role, you are my chief financial officer with, okay, let me say, with years of experience, right? So we have our role. And what is I? I is instruction. Now, in this instruction part, sorry about that, what we are going to put here is what do we want this AI to do? What is it going to carry out? I want you to look at my sales sheets and help me draw out decision making insights, right? And then for the first C, what we have here is context. Now, context is what um, information do you want your AI working with? What additional data do you want your AI to work with? And for now, is where my sales sheet is, which is the Excel link. So I can say this is the link to my sheet. Right. And then for the next C, this is constraints. Now the constraint is, with all this AI, I think if you use AI a lot, you know that AI is very agreeable. We're like, oh yes, you're right. This is what we want our AI to do when it comes to this constraint is this is what I don't want you to do. Right. So it's not going overboard. So I can say I don't want a rough summary. I want insights that will affect my business. And now for E, what we typically put here is examples, right? So if you have the required output in mind, like, okay, this is what I want the output to look like. That's what you put here. But we don't know the insights that we're expecting, so we're going to take that out. Right. So what it's going to do, okay, it's already doing it. There we go. So you're running two completely different business pretending to be one. Data split in two categories. As you can see, it's already seeing my high margin fields, right? Like the people on the panel said, right? They're going to see what works, what truly works, what insight is hiding from you. And we can see that bags, scarf, and jewelry are what is bringing 30 to 60% of my gross profits. What's killing my business or taking part of my profits are sunglasses. But you see, they are very toxic, all losses. You see the insights is bringing out, right? Usually, what you will do is you have to hire a financial analyst to go through your shit, and a financial analyst might not pick a call. You might be busy. There's a lot of time wasted, and then you're just spending money buying new products, not knowing what's making you money and what's taking your money from you, right? So even bought out returning customers, right? Who am I returning? 5 customers have done 30 transactions combined. These are the 5 customers. Now, the insight I can draw from this is I can always tell each person here that, okay, we have special coupon code because we've seen that you are a recurring customer, right? And that pushes my business or increases the profit of my business because I know who is spending more and what they are spending on, right? And now I'm going to show you an example of what an AI agent looks like, right? Where we have the entire loop going on. Sorry, I like to extend my model when I'm working with agents. I like it to think right. Now,
So
what I'm
in
going
this
to do.
case, why are we looking at an agent as against just the chat?
Okay, so what I want to do right now is, so the first pillar is operational optimization, right? So what I want to do is I'm painting a scenario of, I just finished the meeting with the client, right? And I have a meeting note saved somewhere in my drive, right? In this meeting notes, we have discussed what needs to be done, right? What the problem is with this client, what this client needs to implement, their time constraints, their budget constraints. Now, what I want to do is I want this session or this staff I'm going to bring out to go and check my drive. The first place I had to bring the link in here. So I wanted to go and check my drive, right? Read through the meeting notes, and then from there, create a proposal. After creating the proposal, create an email draft, right? Lock the email draft on my Gmail. So I'm just going there to review what it has written and then touch some few things and then I'm sending, right? So that's going to do work, right? It's not just giving me an answer that I'm going to go and act on and then come back and say, okay, this is what I've done. What's the next step to do, right? And now what I'm going to show you is the skills that I talked about. So we had a prompt before type.
Sorry, Kamsi. So to buttress again, what you're basically saying is that using chats basically means that you're gathering knowledge, which is good. However, you are limiting the possibility of using the AI tools because when you're done analyzing the document, you still need to go and act. However, with an agent, you can automate every action that you would like to perform and right from one instruction base, and they are trying to demonstrate what that will be, automating actions even after knowledge has been gathered.
That's it. All right. So I'm not going to type a prompt, a full extensive prompt. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the skill that I explained. Now, I have had coded a skill already, right? And like I said, skills are standard operating procedures, right? So this is something that I've done over and over and over again, right? And I've explained the workflow to Claude, right? So Claude already knows what to do when I call that skill. So what I'm going to do is read the right. So this is an explanation of what skill is. Read the proposal agent skill first, then create a proposal from my Ninja Connect. So Ninja Connect is the name of the pseudo company I'm working with. So my Ninja Connect meeting notes. So what Claude is going to do, remember our loop, it's going to observe, right, by gathering information. So it's reading the skill first, gathering information, knowing what to do, right, what tools are needed, right. So it's going to do all that, it's going to observe and gather information, right. And now it's going to create a plan. I think it already created a plan. And now it's using the tools. So it's going to my drive, it's reading my drive. Now it has found something, so it has acted, and now it's evaluating what it has found. Continuing the loop again. Now I have everything. Let me build the proposal. Acting again, right? After acting, is going to observe. Now, while this is running, because of time, I need this. I need two of them to run concurrently. So I'm going to be running the second pillar. I'm going to start the second pillar while this is going on. Right now, the second pillar is switched to this here. Now, the second pillar is more about business growth. Right. And the process I'm going to do today is I want Claude, this for some of AI agents, to find me leads. Right. I need everybody needs to find leads. And like the panel said, most of your AI innovation or most of your AI implementation should touch your revenue. Right. And now what I want to do is I want to find new customers, right? People that will need what I'm offering. Right. And again, I'm not going to use a prompt, I'm going to use a skill. And what I'm going to do is read the lead scorer skill and find leads of. Sorry, Mr. Enoch, do you have parameters we can use? Right. So what industry should we be looking at? What company size should we be looking at? What type of parameters should we be looking at?
Let's do insurance. Let's say insurance companies with staff of over 50.
Okay. So
It should find head of IT
okay.
of insurance
Let's
companies in Nigeria with over 50 staff.
okay.
I would like it to also gain information about the business, most recent news about the business, so that it can prepare for me an insight of how to initiate conversations with the head of IT.
Okay. All right. So all that, like I said, a skill is a standard operating procedure, a workflow that you have to do over and over. So it's all here, right? It's going to pull the insights. So let's.
Will you take a moment to just still show them how you approach building the skill so that, you're conjuring, it looks like you're doing abracadabra and you're calling out the skill, but then just for them to be able to understand what you mean by a skill, what's Kingsley, I laugh, is the truth, so that they understand exactly what has been done, how much work has actually been put into creating the skill that is bringing out these results and acting out these instances that you're providing to the LLM.
Okay, so I'm going to show you a sample of the skill, the back end of what the skill is, and I'm going to explain the framework, the same way I explained the entire RISE thing. Right, so these are different skills I've accumulated, right? And the framework for building the skill is simple as craft. I think I need to go back to the chat so I can type this out so people can see it. Okay, let's go back to this. Right. So it's as simple as craft. Oh, this is done already. Sorry. Our proposal is done already. So let's go through what the proposal is.
Yeah.
Right here also was delivered the proposal. All right, 7 section, Queen AI branding, right, professional tables, Chioma's consent. Remember, I did not mention anything about Chioma here, right? But it read the meeting notes. I think if I open the meeting notes, just so people can see that again, it's not magic. So this is the meeting notes, right? Client company, decision maker is Chioma, and this is our email, phone number, and all that. So all this contains every necessary details of what we discussed in the meeting. All right. And if we look to the proposal it created, right? This is how I create proposal, standard, right? What we heard. Now we talked about Niger Connect. Niger Connect processes approximately 2,000 payment transaction daily. Behind this transaction sits a customer support of 4 people handling everything, payment. This is the real bottleneck is dispute, right? And then section by section, he wrote every single thing or every detail that is needed for the clients to make a decision, right? This is what we're proposing, right? And also, remember, like I said, when I showed you my project, I showed you files, and then I showed you some markdown files that I have there. And what those markdown files also contains are solutions that I've created before, right? Mental models that I think alongside when I want to create a solution for a company, right? So Claude is essentially right now somewhat of a clone of me, right? And it knows what solution to propose based on, well, it's thinking like me. What we're proposing, is what it's proposing, right? Addressing the concern the client had during the meeting, right? Concern one, AI makes mistakes and damaging the brand. So we came up with a solution for that, wrote it out, right? The timeline for the build, the investments that it's going to take, right? Based on what me and Choma discussed, what we will need from them to carry out this build, right? Because we need some data from them, some the tools they use and all that. And then the next step, confirm the engagement by now. Something I would also like to mention that he picked up, he marked my calendar for the follow-up conversation. Right. If I show you the document, we'll see that Chema mentioned having a demo call by June 24th. And then he went ahead, picked up that information and logged it in my calendar. Right. Now, what is the framework behind the skill that created this? Now, like I said, is
Can you also show them your email draft?
oh yes, okay, all right. So this is my email draft. As you can see here, this is the proposal created. Right. Hi Chema, when you mentioned that 30 plus 100 messages stacked up every morning before 9 a.m., that told me everything. The problem isn't a team, it's the absence of a system that works, and he wrote this entire thing. Right. And then I get to confirm and edit, right? Also edit the document, review and edit before I send out. Now back to the framework behind skills, right? So we have craft. Now what is craft? How do we explain craft? Now, when using a skill, the first thing you need is a command, right? What triggers that skill? Right, as you can see, from mine, it's talking about proposal generating. So even if I had not used the slash, if I said generate a proposal, go to my meeting and generate a proposal, it knows the skill to call. So that's the first thing, command. What should trigger that skill? Now for R, we also have roles here too. The role is, like I said, we need AI to assume a role for better output. So what we have here is role. I think I've explained what role is. And A is action. Now, for this part, what we are going to be writing here is what are the actions you need to take. They're going to explain this step by step. I'll show you the skill. Now is step one. This is what you do first. After doing that, you go to step two. After doing that, the next step is this. You have to clearly explain what the AI is going to do step by step. What's the workflow, right? And then for F, we have format, right? Just like the rice thing where we had E, for example, the format is what do you want the outputs to look like, right? Is it a Word doc? Is it an HTML? Is it a website? You want it to be a website? What output are you looking at the AI generating for you? That's the format. Now, the last T is tools. Now, tools is what makes an AI agentic, right? It can use those tools to act, to do things, right? And then in this tool section, you're going to tell it what tools it's going to be working with, right? For this, it was working with my Gmail, my Google Drive, and then some scripts about how to write proposal. Now, I think I will go back to finding the head of IT. Oh, it's done already too. So what we have here is read the lead scorer skill. Oh, sorry, would you like me to show them the result of this first or show them the back end of the skill?
Let's show them the back end of the skill first before we move to the results of, because you have also showed them the results of what a process will look like. So after a meeting has been done, you now needed to take a step on the next step on the meeting, but it would be good for them to see what the skill, that derived all that process looks like.
All right. So I wish I can make this because this can be bigger. Right. So this is the proposal. This is the skill.
The barrier, see, you can slide the barrier to the left. I think you should be able to.
It's not. It's not going.
It's
Let me
not
open
picking.
the app. Sorry. Let me open this here.
It's the same thing.
It's not, the same thing. It's not picking.
All right, no
All right.
problem.
So, like I said, the first thing you have to is command the trigger, right? Use either when paste user either paste meeting notes directly or reference a meeting where the thing is on drive, right? That's the trigger. Now, like I said, the next after command, obviously the role, I've already given it the role. This is the role here, right? What it needs to do or what it needs to be. Now, the next thing is step by step, right? Step zero, fetch the meeting notes if not pasted, right? I usually have some issues because Google Drive has some issue with search and all that. But after diagnosing, right, this is what I think standard operating procedures, right? You make mistakes and then you're like, okay, this is the correction of the mistake. So this is what to do so you don't make that mistake anymore, right? So step zero is to fetch. This is how you fetch, right? If the user mentioned a meeting notes, this is how you find the names, how you find it on Google Drive. These are the critical rules for this step. Now, once you're done, the next step is to extract from the notes, right? So like I said, step by step on what the workflow is. Then after extracting, the next step is to generate the proposal, visually professional, right? These are the tools to use. Use JDocs, Docs.js to create proposal. It has my branding style, right? Um, the structure of how the document should be, right? What comes first, the sections, the subsection. You have all the design details. So I'm not even typing, like I said, I'm not saying, okay, make it purple, no, make it white, no, make the background black. There's no that back and forth, or I have to it's creating the document and not copy the documents to Google Drive and start editing it by myself. Right. It has all that. Sorry, I'm trying to get to the tools, right? MCP requirements, Gmail, Google Calendar, right? Now, no MCP needed for document creation. Like I said, you already use the docs.js. So this is Anthropic usually imputes this tool by themselves,
Mm.
right? And then the outputs, like I said, the format, what it should look like. So we have the documents, save the documents, present the file, right? Present the email draft, confirm the calendar event. So craft is how you create skills. And something funny enough is Claude helps you do this easily,
Yep.
right? Very, very easily. So
You
you don't
can
even
build
have to
skills
really,
on Claude too. You don't have
yes,
to be all
you
technical
don't have
about.
to, it's really, you don't even need to start typing the craft and say, okay, use craft, right? That is just a mental model you need to carry, right? To create skill with Claude, right? All you have to do now is let's create the skill together, just type out, right? And like someone said, you on the panel is one of the things you need to do is audit yourself, right? Ask yourself questions, have answers to those questions. Now you can even create the skill with your voice feature. I don't even know that's just the voice feature here or the voice feature on ChatGPT, where you can just stop. So if you know your workflow, you know your processes off the top of your head, you can just describe it. Okay, connect with this, do this first, do that next, da 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 da, and that's how you carry out. And then with this, Claude can take all that messy brain dump you've had, right, and turn it into a proper skill you can just craft, right? So that's how a skill works. And if I go back to the lead generation thing, right? So we can see here that it read the skill first, right? And then it started using tools. Now, Clay is a tool of its own that is used for lead generation. It's used to find out, find people, find companies, right? So he went through all this. Is this going? Okay, so this is done. Sorry. Finding the companies, finding information about the companies. Let me just scroll down to the end. Right. So,
Maybe click the lead intelligence report. Maybe it would have summarized it there.
okay. All right. So, like I said, you need to have like a desired output. And for this, my desired output is an HTML artifact, something I can interact with, and then a CSV. Now, this interaction is so I don't go out of code, right? And I what that skill, what I told that skill to do is find these people, rank them on tiers, like who am I reaching out to first, based on the information I've gathered, the insights, the recent news that I've gotten, right? Who is more um in the direction to the service I'm going to sell, right? And that's what he did. Now, this is the signal. So ICO just completed a major brand rebrand in December 2024 that chief data information is tied to AI agendas, right? Look at the source where you went to pull it out from, their website, right? And then the digital economy strategy analysis, May 2025. Now, this is the person's LinkedIn. Let me just click it so people can see that it's not hallucinated data, right? And then we have correlation insurance. This is the person's LinkedIn too. Okay, you mentioned something about a draft, what to send to them.
Yes.
Okay, this is it. Right. So the angle, Nestle is publicly championing AI-driven underwriting and digital modeling, and just spoke about challenges of moving from AI pilot to AI execution. The gap between pilot enthusiasm and delivery is exactly where Queen AI plays. I did not explain that to it. All right. He already knew that. Now, he even gave me the subject of the email that I can send. If I want to send on email or if I want to send on LinkedIn. Hi Nelson, your point at da 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 strategy framing, the harder problem most insurers face is identifying where AI helps, is getting the right agent. And you can see all this will take me hours. I first need to find you know how it is. I first need to find the companies. I first need to
Research the
know
company, what
what
their
they are
problem
doing,
is,
what
and
their
then who
problem
is the
is.
person to speak to, what
Do you
challenges,
understand?
understand the person, draft
How to
the
even
email.
speak to the person,
Hmm.
it's an entire, that's like most times they even employ people to do that. Like that's your role in the
Hmm.
organization. And like I
Hmm.
said, you should look at every AI chat as a employed staff, right? Now, this can be my staff on lead generation. This is my stuff on lead generation. You have created the leads, you have given me the CSV file. I can even go ahead to ask more questions, do a deep dive on the information he has given. I can see that this is actually a real person in ICO insurance, right? This is the person. This is head of IT. So it's not hallucinated data. It's not fugazi. It's not magic, right? It's real life. And this is so let me go back to the diagram. This is how AI agents works. This is the first thing you should be able to interact with when it comes to, or the first mental model you should have when it comes to AI agents, right? They observe, they think, they act, and they evaluate. And all this wouldn't make sense without context. Data, your context, your data, everything there is about you is very, very important, right? Because all these results will not come out the way it came out if it is not about me or my company. It doesn't know the procedures, it doesn't know the workflow, it doesn't know who we serve, how we serve them, what we do, right? And that is the mental model people or business owners, you guys, the audience should be um, looking to adopt, right? And I believe this is something you can start doing from tomorrow, the end of today. And I hope I'll be able to pick your interest enough to want to able to try this and do this.
Mhm.
Right. And this just cost me about $20 on my cloud subscription. And I can use this and create
It's less than
different
30,000 naira per month.
yeah, per month. What's the minimum wage? Minimum wage is like 70,000 naira, right? And I have two like spawn agents and spawn employees on the spot that does different tasks for me, right? And this is an advantage to business owners. This is a very serious advantage that I believe people should be taking advantage of. Right. So I think we'll move to the
Yeah.
questions.
Yes. Thank you very much, Kamzi. I mean, it's straight out of the bat, and this is as complex, I won't say complex, as simple as the outcome looks. These are processes, right, that real businesses have to go through. And so definitely we can ask questions now. If for anybody who has any question that they would like to, okay. Yes, the session is recorded. Someone says, can this level of productivity be achieved on the free cloud? No, it cannot, unfortunately. It's $20. It's going to cost you that $20. You're going to have to pay it. But I mean, look at it again. It's less than 30,000. And by the time it'll take just like we had said earlier with the panels, it is important that you are able to review your process when from end to end. How do I provide my service? How do I get to the point of selling my products? And then when I look at every point of my products, what part of it do I want to automate in order to ensure that I am no longer lingering? I can focus on the important things. So like for example, you just finished finding somebody who is solid. You met somebody online, and you just said, okay, let's do a discovery call. And you guys had a discovery call, and you were talking. You don't want to spend another 1 hour, 2 hours trying to then research how best to serve them, then build the documents, and then send it. You want to get to the point where you are closing the deal ASAP, because you
Wow.
know how closing deals have to happen on the spot while it's very hot the same day. You know, all those kind of processes that are repetitive. You can just take some time, automate the process, and then, build your tool on it. And it's just $20 away. Someone was asking, how do you address concerns about data privacy with the extent of information Claude asks about the client you work with? And so Sebastian addressed that on the panel session that we had. The recording of the session will be made available to everybody who registered. And he had given a framework to how you should approach it. But one thing he had categorically said is that if an information is sensitive, you have to find a way you share it. Number one, understand, do a research on the tool you're using and what their policy is. Number one, and decide which one of the tools you want to use. Number two is anonymize the data that you're using. So things that you can privatize, maybe instead of giving it the actual name of, say, for example, it's healthcare. Instead of giving it the actual name of the patient, perhaps replace it with something else. But then again, you can do, when you get the recording, you can watch Sebastian's response to that question. What other question do we have here? Um, okay, someone says, "Hi, Kamzi, I see a button, GMAS, beside your send button in Gmail. Could you share what feature that is for?" That's for mass email mailing now. I think is it linked to, can you link Claude to, no, you want that process, you wouldn't want Claude to automatically send emails on your behalf. You want it to review the emails, unless, of course,
You're
we do
100%
have
sure.
people who are using uh, actually having the LLM send the emails on their behalf. Perhaps they're churning through, hundreds of thousands of leads. Their campaign is very, very high, and so they do not, or they don't even want to go through the process of, reviewing the emails, and they've taken time to really instruct and design the outcome that the LLM will send out. Another thing also is that some people even use it as a process of filtering the first layer of your funnel. So for everybody who would, obviously, as a business person, you will know what funnel is. At the point of prospecting, perhaps you want to ensure that you're prospecting the right way. And for that reason, you need to comb through, 1,000, 10,000, depends on the size of the prospects you're having, and ensure that everybody who gets into the funnel is actually people that work for that are potential buyers. You definitely can automate those kind of processes and say, okay, you know what, Claude, you handle everything on that regard. And anybody who responds to your email is most likely my potential buyer. So that's actually very possible. I know that there are some constraints with Google solutions. Um, I think it can write on some tools and it may not be able to write on some tools. It just depends on, what access the tools as I should go on. Someone says some of those emails are super personalized. Exactly, because Oluwatobi says they are super personalized. Yes, exactly, because obviously Kamsi are taking some time um to review, right? To review the
Over and
way
over.
the
What
exactly
you said
how it
them.
turns out the email. So the detail of what eventually comes out. And once it gets to the point where one can almost guarantee that whatever he writes is going to be exactly what you would say. So sometimes they just skim through and then just send. Um, are there any other questions from anybody? I would be able to take another few questions, maybe two, three more questions, and then we would round up. While we wait for questions, one of the things that Quino AI has also done is they have built a platform that will help you, that will work with you to identify what aspects of your business that you can automate. For everybody who has thought about, that is considering, leveraging AI, and then you don't know where to start. One place you can start is by opening up this tool. I think it will take not more than 5 minutes, where it's asking you different questions. You provide it enough information, and it will even tell you, first of all, diagnose for you, first of all, if you are even data compliant, right? Are you gathering enough information to even automate? Have you designed your workflow enough for you to automate the workflow? And then if you have, what aspects of your workflow can you automate and introduce AI to? And this is absolutely free for everybody who is on the call right now. They can play around with it, and access the tool to know how to best get started. Because we did say that one of the things that we're hoping that can happen after this call as well is for you to get a step ahead on how you perhaps want to explore the AI, agentic AI. And so this tool would help you do just that. One of the things I can also say is that, again, number one, we're going to be focused more on talent and professional in the next Saturday. And so please do share the link to, your workers, your individuals that can leverage the insights that are being shared here. We will go through use cases that are more professional centered. And then we would also see tools that can be provided for individuals to leverage. And then there's further outcome after this as well is that Covenant Capital will also be launching a free course on agentic AI a few months from now. There are also different areas and different professions that we will be launching courses for, and that will absolutely be free. So definitely being aware and being in touch, being what's the word? Staying close with your email and checking information updates about these other activities, will be something that you would definitely appreciate. So again, for any business owner, you can go ahead and open up the tool, and interact with it and use it to audit your current AI position. Um, it looks like I'm still trying to say I did all that to see whether anybody would have any other question. For those who have put questions in the Q&A, I think for Gosier, he said regarding domain knowledge and AI average intelligence outputs for sectors that rely heavily on research to make informed decisions like consultancy and law, how can one identify this sloppiness while using AI as a research tool, since using the internet can be time consuming? There are AI tools that are probably unique to different industries. I know that um there are AI tools for law practitioners even readily available now where you can research um um get insights on
Sorry,
that. So
can
is
I
that
add something?
yeah,
Can I
sure,
add
sure, please go
something?
ahead.
So even on Claude, right, the MCPs that are there, the tools that you can connect, there are specific tools that people in specific industry use that you can use alongside Claude, right? So, like for example, Clear I demonstrated is for marketing professionals, people who are looking for leads, right?
Mm,
And there are tools for lawyers, right? There are already people who are lawyers who have used these tools, who have put in the parameters, the framework that the AI needs to do those researches, and then you can just plug Claude into it and collect
it
insights
will
from it.
collect insight from it.
So there's that
Very
too.
true. Yeah, so data tools like databases that already exist can be plugged to AI tools, and then AI just does the search that you would have wanted to do manually, and it does it automatically. The last question: if I seek to integrate AI automations across my businesses for areas like sales automation, email automation, WhatsApp automation, operations automation, how do I go? I think we just demonstrated that. On an average, how much would I need to budget to set up some of these automations? Is it something I can handle myself, or will need an automation developer? This is something Kamsi actually does. For businesses who do not want to take time with the process, failing forward. And so definitely you can always engage Kamsi for that service. But if you want to go through the process of learning it on your own, absolutely that is more than welcome. I see an opportunity in the direct sales industry, and I really want to know how I can automate lead generation where I can help people do same to enhance duplication. Um, so basically, you said lead gen, which we had also demonstrated. I think depending on what your workflow is, because all this is really just about workflow and the tools. You can find a way to do your integration. Um, yeah. We are 30 minutes up, more than the proposed time. I think we've done justice to this conversation. It's a great start to, this series. I think another thing also we'll be doing in the future is, depending on how much information we gather, we may be considering doing some of these exercises industry-based, field-based as well, maybe engineering, do finance, do healthcare, and then see how we can drive this conversation down. Because the goal is we have to ensure that everyone finds success as early and as easy as possible. Because it's right there in our faces. We just have to be making the most, being well positioned for it, just like the theme says. All right. Thank you very much, Kamzi. I think this session was actually absolutely very rich. Guys, we absolutely appreciate you for joining the call. For those who want to join in, again, as professionals, you can join in the next session for next month. You'll still have the link. Please also share it with others so that you can take advantage of the next session. We absolutely appreciate you. And we would also reach out to you for feedback. So please, when you see any invites to take feedback from how you've benefited or what you've done so far with either the tool or what has been discussed, please do engage with the content. Thank you very much, everyone. We do hope that you have an amazing weekend and a new week ahead. All right, guys. Thank you so much.